If you think your story is too messy to post about, you're closer to success than you think. Because the people pretending to have it all figured out, they're one Canva quote away from a nervous fucking breakdown. And trust me, your clients can feel it. Authenticity doesn't repel money, it magnetizes it. And you're allowing your ADHD to hold you back from sharing it. So, today in this episode, I want to walk you through when your story feels too messy to share and why you're still struggling with visibility. Let's dive into it. Hey, welcome back to the ADHD CEO. Alyece here. And this is almost like a part two to episode 171. But if you missed out on episode 171, definitely subscribe to the podcast. You can go back and listen to that episode. But in that episode, we talked about how it's not really posting that you're fearful about. It's not the posting pressure, it's being vulnerable. And so I want to tell you before we get started about, one time I spent 45 minutes writing a single Facebook post, one Facebook post, right? And usually Facebook's the easiest for me. Like I don't overthink it, especially on my personal profile, which yes, I do business on my personal profile, but it's usually the easiest content for me. It's the platform I've been showing up on the longest. And I spent 45 minutes like rewriting it. Okay. Trying to sound more polished, trying to sound more professional, trying to sound more credible, trying to use all these big ass words that I know what they mean, but who gives a shit, right? And by the time I finished, I didn't recognize my own voice anymore. And I honestly think that's what's happening to a lot of creators right now online, especially, recently in the last 12 months with AI being such an assist to us. But I didn't recognize my own voice. It read like it was a freaking Hallmark card read by a robot on a caffeine binge. I don't know. And I posted it and crickets. And what's funny is that, the algorithm changes all the time. So it's often thinking like, okay, was it a bad photo? Was it a bad time to post it? Was it, maybe the caption sucked after all? But I did that. And when I went back and I reread it, because as an ADHD entrepreneur, like you send a voice message and then you go back and listen to it, or you post something and you reread it 25 times. But the truth is, perfect doesn't sell. Okay. Presence does. And so that is the entire theme of today. Perfect doesn't sell, presence does. And so I want to fast forward to a launch I had. Maybe it was like 15 months-ish ago. I barely showed up. My stories were messy. I had typo-filled posts. I had recently had neck surgery. I was like not only in and out of consciousness because I was supposed to be like resting, but also just not feeling my best. I was having to rest a lot more because I had these discs replaced in my neck. So I was in a lot of pain. I had like random iPhone selfies in the absolute worst lighting. One of them in the actual like place where they put the IV in you, like the waiting room before you go to the operating room. And it was my most profitable launch to that point. And it wasn't because I was polished. It wasn't because I, had professional branding photos. It was because I looked real. People didn't need a superhero. They needed a human that they could trust. And that mindset shift I had to have is authority isn't earned by sounding smart. Authority is earned by being witnessed in real time, messy, resilient, still standing, getting people actual results. And you're not late. You're not behind. You're not too chaotic to lead. You're proof that leadership looks different when it's real. And a lot of this came with me embracing that I did things differently. And so I really was still masking a lot online at that point in my entrepreneurship. I've had ADHD forever. So it wasn't like, oh, I didn't know what I was doing, but I was afraid to show my ADHD online because I didn't want that to keep people from wanting to work with me. There's a lot of really big misconceptions about ADHD out there. You've probably witnessed a lot of them in your own life. And so I didn't really go into why I did things differently, why I was so uniform about certain things, or why I broke things down step by step by step by step in a way that others didn't. I just projected it as I do shit different. And anyone that's ever worked with me will tell you that. They will back that up, that I break things down, I over deliver. And at the time, I just thought that made me a good coach. But honestly, my ADHD has so much to do with that because that's the way I want to receive things. So that's the way I would deliver them. And so showing up real and authentic and not being overly polished and showing that here I am having two new discs in my neck, having major surgery, and I'm still getting shit done, even with my ugly, messy selfies and a neck brace. That made people be like, okay, this bitch is real. Like, let's go with her, because if she's still showing up, her business is still making sales, and she just got out the operating table, she knows what she's doing. Right. So it was really about being authentic. I'm not telling you to go have neck surgery so that you can get those selfies. I'm just telling you that it was more about building trust. Okay. And again, in my episodes, I love to give tactical things. So here's a couple things that I did to rebuild my visibility with rhythm. So I stopped waiting for the after success story to share. So people want to walk with you, right? Not just cheer at you. And so a lot of times online, again, we talked about this a little bit at the beginning of the episode, people are scared to show their failures. They're scared to show it messy. I used to get, screenshots and DMs from people that'd be like, yo, you got a typo here. And I would cringe. Like, are you serious right now? I found a typo on Nordstrom's website the other day. And I was about to just screenshot it and send it to them and be like, yo, FYI. Okay. It happens, right? But I stopped waiting for it to be perfect. I stopped waiting for the result. And I started showing belief. So maybe, for example, when I went to do my TikTok Tactics challenge for the very first time, I didn't wait until the challenge was over and have testimonials to share. That would have been dumb. I would have not made any of the sales that I made. I showed up and was like, these are results I got. I know I'm going to get you the same results. Here's me building it out for you. It's not even fucking done yet, but I'm going to have it finished by the time we start the challenge. I took people on that journey with me. And not only did it build belief and trust with them, it broke down walls with them. And so by them seeing the full process, they wanted to work with me. They wanted to walk with me. They wanted to be one of the first to see it when it was finished. Another thing is, giving yourself that permission to be seen without being perfect. And we talked a lot about this again in episode 171 and even some in episode 172. But even if I stumbled, even if I wasn't polished, I still showed up. There was so many times, depending on how long you've been hanging out with me, you probably know that I have some kind of live curse, right? If I'm going live, there's going to be a tech issue. So there was one time I was asked to be a speaker at a virtual summit. The very first time I was ever asked to be a speaker, FYI. And I was so nervous, but I was like, this is going to be amazing. My freaking Wi-Fi goes out mid-call. Okay, mid-call. I'm in the process of being interviewed in this summit. Hundreds of people registered. And then boom, my screen went black. Completely black. Just went out. No big deal. I panicked for a brief second. And then I called in on my phone. And I'm like, sorry, y'all. Wi-Fi went out. Technology. Could I have just ran and not came back on? Yeah, that probably would have been easier. Please forget me. No. Yeah. There was one time I was on live and my kids walked in the background in their underwear. Things are going to happen. You're going to stumble. All right. There have been videos I posted that went viral. I go back and watch them. I had something black in my teeth. I used to make a lot of my content at night because that's when my brain is most creative. And when my husband cooks steak, I got to watch it because he uses this certain seasoning and I love it. But it's got big chunks of pepper in it. A big ass black thing hanging on my teeth. And that video went viral, probably because of the black thing in my teeth. I wanted to delete it. I wanted to die. Okay. I wanted to crawl under my desk. It's still out there. You can go find it. I'm not going to point you in the direction of it. Point is, you need to give yourself permission to be you. If it's quirky, if it's struggling with eye contact, if it's only showing up here and there, whatever that is, your differences in your personality and your brand is why people will connect with you. So until you give yourself permission to fully embrace and embody your story, you're going to be telling someone else's story. That's like crying wolf, right? No one's going to believe you. The third thing that I had to really come into terms with, and this one's going to be hard to hear, but it's measuring connection, not claps. Okay. I stopped judging my success by likes and started tracking conversations, started tracking opportunities presented. And so here's the thing. I actually have an episode coming out on this next month, but yes, in order to be a profitable business, you need to track sales. Like, that's just common sense. But I don't measure my business by sales anymore. I did for a very long time. And there was a month I had $40,000 month, okay, in sales. And I still punished myself that I didn't do enough, that it should have been bigger, that I didn't show up enough. I didn't show up consistently. If I would have went live every day for an hour, I'd have made 60,000, right? I looked at the missed opportunity. Never in my fucking life did I think I would have had a $40,000 month. And so I don't even measure my business success by that anymore. I measure my business success by my energy, if I feel inspired, if I feel driven to show up. I measure my business success by opportunities created because I could sell all day long, but I'm not here just for sales. I'm here for impact. Was I asked to be a guest? Was I asked to be a speaker? Was I asked to collaborate with someone? If so, that's success for me because someone else sees my value enough to put me in front of their audience. Someone else sees me trustworthy enough for that. And that's because trust builds empires, not Canva templates. Okay. So really understand how you measure what's successful for you. Because if you're measuring by claps, they run out. And with every level of your business, there's less and less and less people clapping for you because people aren't brave enough to be where you are. So they stop clapping. So this is something I really work on inside my Focused and Free membership is, we don't manufacture authority. We amplify the realness that was already there. And so if you're finding yourself tired, like you have to just rehearse your life to earn clients, it's because you're disconnected with your branding and you're disconnected with your message and you're disconnected and you're probably not owning your real authentic self. And that's your ADHD fear of rejection. Because the only thing more powerful than your polished success story is the unfiltered, undeniable presence. And until you become completely comfortable with that, you're going to continue to almost feel like an imposter in your own content, even if you wrote it, even if you filmed it. So with that being said, of course, I would love to see you inside the membership. We work on this regularly. There's daily mini trainings in there. Depending on when you're listening to this, if it's May of 2025, we're doing a content challenge. So a lot is happening behind the scenes there. But this is really where you have to own your presence online. No one's going to give it to you. You have to own it. You have to claim it. So that being said, if you got any value out of this episode at all, make sure to take a screenshot of it. Throw your stories, tag me at socially.awesome. I want to celebrate you. I want to share you with my audience as well. If you found something super valuable, shoot me a DM on IG and be like, yo, like that touched me. I want to hear it. Okay. A lot is coming up on the podcast in June. Some more guests. I'm super excited. If you missed last week's episode with Lachelle, definitely go back and plug that in. She dropped so many bombs on there. Again, this is kind of like part 2 to episode 171. So if you did miss that episode, I would also go back and plug into that because, this episode was really about owning your vulnerability. Episode 171 was about vulnerability building visibility. And if you want your business to be around long term, you have to understand how to create visibility for yourself. Make sure you check the show notes. I've got all the deets in there. I've got tons of resources in there for you. And until next time, make it simple, make it social, make it awesome.